Alright guys. Hey, so this is not my RCOS project. I'm just presenting for that. But this is a startup company that myself, Jay, Ken, and another senior here at RPI started about a year ago now, probably earlier this year. And we're called Whirl. And so we'll explain a little what that means in a second. But basically we're a mobile payment startup. So, what's wrong with current wallets? Why do we need these mobile payment solutions? Well, current wallets are pretty uncomfortable. You know, you have to carry around this bulky wallet, and they are also messy, unorganized. So you got your, you got your cash everywhere. You got a bunch of cards. You have to carry all this stuff around. They're slow. Whenever you got to go pay for something, you got to take your wallet out of your pocket, take your credit card out, swipe it, maybe give it to the cashier, do whatever you need to do, and that's how you pay for your stuff. And then finally, they're insecure. Someone takes your credit card, sure they have to sign for it, but does anyone actually ever even look at the signatures? The signatures are pretty useless. Signing for stuff is so irrelevant now. Wallets are obsolete. They are not the way of the future. They're not the technology that we need nowadays. And all the technology to create something new, create something much better than wallets is there.
Okay. So you might ask, aren't there already dozens of apps out there that serve as mobile wallets? And the answer is yes. But most of them aren't even as good as Capture Card. So why would anybody use it? We think that some of the best mobile wallet apps out there use NFC, but even NFC has severe drawbacks. So let's look at what those are compared to a traditional credit card. When you're ready to pay for something, you're going to, with a card, take out your wallet and remove your card. Or with an NFC phone, you're going to take out your phone. Step 2, with a card, you're going to swipe it through the credit card magnetic stripe reader. But with the phone, it's not much better. You just tap it against the reader. Step 3, you'll give your PIN if you have a debit card or a signature if you have a credit card. But if you're using an NFC wallet app, you still have to give your PIN. And then lastly, you have to stow both of them. So, I don't know. Those processes both look the same, so there's no convenience improvement between an NFC wallet application and a smartphone application. So, why would anybody switch? Sure, in the long term, maybe there's a day where we don't have to carry around these leather billfolds in our wallets, or in our pants or in our purses. But you're not going to get there until there's a shorter term incentive. So that is the problem that we're trying to solve with Whirl. And Jay will talk to you about what we think the big improvements need to be made.
So what do people want? What are people looking for? Why do they care about this stuff? I think one of the biggest things is convenience. So they want to be able to get in and out of that store as quickly as possible and pay for their stuff and be on their way. So that's one of the advantages that our system is going to offer, one that we implement. In addition is security. So if it's so easy to steal credit cards, I don't have the statistics, but they're pretty mind-blowing how much credit card fraud goes on in this country, and how much money is involved in being stolen every day by people. Because these credit cards are so easy to get hold of, and the numbers are so so easy to have. So one advantage in that we can offer is the security for our system. And finally, more information. So more information about what you're buying, how you're spending for both the consumer and the merchant, and more information about different perks you can get with the store, or different deals that are going on, or things like that. Just more information in general in a consolidated and organized place. Those are the 3 things that we can offer.
So, what is Whirl? What are we trying to do here? Imagine if I told you that with Whirl, you could complete a transaction with 2 taps against your touchscreen. What if I told you that Whirl, what was that? Touchscreen. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't misunderstand you, but that's scary. That's too quick. What if I mess up?
Well, talk about that. That's actually why we're looking for, so the point of this is that we're looking for a fourth person to add to our team. We'll get to there in a little bit. But it's that fast, and I think that if it can be made secure, people want fast transactions. Number two, what if I told you it was the safest way to pay compared to any of the currently commonly used methods of payments? And lastly, what if I told you that Whirl made you a better shopper, a better buyer, a smarter shopper? And that's exactly what we're building. So here's how it would work. Imagine that you are at, I don't know, Walgreens, and you have a basket full of items and you're in the checkout line and you're ready to pay. You'll get to the checkout counter, you'll hand over your basket to the cashier, he'll scan your stuff, and now it's time to do the important part. You've got to pay. So you'll look down on the counter, and instead of a traditional credit card swiper, you'll see a Whirl touchscreen with a fingerprint sensor at the bottom. And the first thing you'll do is you'll provide your fingerprint to this sensor. And as long as your phone is somewhere on your person, in your pocket or on your purse if you're a woman, your virtual wallet will pop up on this touchscreen. You don't need to take it out. And now once that's on there, you'll see a list of all your available payment methods, categorized or sorted based on some important criteria, maybe which card or which method of payment gives you the biggest reward for your payment, or which has the greatest available balance, or which has the lowest APR. Any of those criteria, or even a combination can be used to help you decide which is the best way that you should pay, because the average American has many credit cards in his or her wallet. They've got cash, they've got everything, they've got to decide what to do. So now, to pay, you'll select one of those buttons on the touchscreen, and you're done. You'll walk away, and life is good. You just paid with 2 taps against a device. It's secure, and you made an informed decision on how you're going to pay for something. You've never been able to do that before. And in the future, you can imagine something or a situation where different credit card companies compete for your business on that touchscreen by offering you better payments for better rewards for your payment. So that's how Whirl works. And best of all, we deal with the fingerprints in a way that we don't need to store them in long-term storage anywhere. So that's Whirl. Jay will talk to you about where we are now.
So, where are we right now? What have we done so far? Well, we started, earlier this year, probably about in January, with designing concepts for how it's going to work. So that's all done. Obviously, we just talked about that. The entire design of the thing is done. We know exactly how it's going to be done. And also, right now we're in the prototyping phase. So we've got most of the prototype done. A lot of the software is done for analyzing the fingerprints, and the fingerprint algorithm is about 90% there for how we're going to get the fingerprints and store them in our top secret way that's going to be done. And the actual hardware for the terminal for getting that prototype is we have the LCD touchscreen working. All that needs to be done there is integrating the fingerprint scanner and the Bluetooth module. So we're about there, and we've got a timeline set up that we've been sticking to, and the prototype will be done at the end of this year. And then next is investment. Next, I don't know how many of you have looked into startups or anything, but venture capital is what we'll be looking for, to get someone on board to support this, and in exchange for some equity of the company, we'll be getting some initial seed investment. And then what's next? We don't know. But final profit. Always.
Okay, so the real reason we're here today is to look for a fourth person to add to our team. As Jay mentioned, we've done a lot of the back-end work. We've done all the conceptual and technical design. We've submitted some provisional patent applications, and now it's time to put a front end onto our company. And we want to do that in a few ways. Number one, we need a logo. Every company needs a logo, so that's the most basic front end we need. Second, we need a website, and most importantly, we need some really easy to use user interfaces for the hardware itself, as well as all the applications that interface with it. So we need to build a user interface for our embedded hardware. We're going to need to build user interfaces for Android and iPhone apps, and lastly, an iPad app that will act as the register that talks to this terminal. So obviously, skills we're looking for are visual design skills, programming skills, hopefully, although not required. We could take care of the programming if you're a really killer visual designer. But that's what we're looking for. And if you're interested at all, please talk to us at the end, or I'm going to flash my email up there too, and feel free to give me an email. Why would you want to work with us? Number one, we're working on something that we hope can put a dent in the universe, and that, for the right person, I think would be a good motivator. But if that's not enough for you, we are going to offer pay. So, are there any questions?
What's this super magic way you're storing your fingerprints?
So we don't store them outright, but at a high level, the way the cryptographic scheme will work is that there will be a private key stored on your mobile phone and a public key stored in the server. And at the point of transaction, those two, your private key gets sent up to the cloud server and they've got to match. But your fingerprint, or a hash of your fingerprint, will be used to encrypt this private key. And the difficulty about doing that is that we need to make sure that our hashing function has the same output, no matter how your fingerprint looks. And every time you put down your fingerprint, it looks a little bit different. There are distortions in your skin. You're going to orient it a little bit different on the sensor. So that's the difficult part about building that algorithm. Like Jay said, we're about 90% there.
I have a second question.
Sure.
How are you planning on getting, like, for example, Walgreens or other companies that sell products physically to adapt this?
Sure. So one of the reasons we're looking for a fourth person is so we have more time to develop our business plan. But we do know how it would launch, or we think we know how it would launch. Of course, this could change in a few months. But our idea is that large businesses are probably not going to go for the product right off the bat. They want proof that people want it and proof that people like it. So we would launch instead to small businesses who we think are more likely to take risk, and honestly, I think they're more likely to persuade and win over and sell to. And what we would do is we would sell our hardware to them for, we don't have an exact price yet, it would be in the range of a few $100s. And we would make the bulk of our money off of transaction fees. We would essentially displace traditional credit card processors and take the fee that they would usually take. And we would incentivize small businesses to get their customers to sign up, to download our app, by offering them reduced fees based on how many people they sign up. So that's our initial launch plan, of course. Yeah.
So one of the big issues I see here is that, like, if you look at statistics on like NFC, like apps right now, the big issue is that it's only like 98% of merchants still don't even support NFC. And one big issue there is that merchants don't want to pay money for something that already works. Like that, I think that's like the issue that you brought up, and the issue I see is that like what incentive do merchants have to actually like go along with it, and especially because a lot of merchants don't even have the technology.
Sure.
A lot of POS systems are still just going over phone line.
Sure. One of the reasons, and this could be an hour-long discussion, but I think one of the reasons that NFC hasn't caught on because there is little benefit to the consumer. So if there's little benefit to the consumer, there is no benefit to the merchant. At best, people try to argue that NFC could speed up checkout lines, but as we mentioned, the process is the same as using a credit card, so it really doesn't. With this, there are real short-term incentives for the customer. And we can build in incentives for the merchant, like you said. We can offer lower transaction fees as they sign up more people to the application. So that's one incentive for them. This would actually speed up their checkout lines. They could actually do away with paper receipts, or at least reduce the amount of paper receipts they have to issue. So definitely most of the benefits are on the consumer side, but we think that we can build enough incentives in to the merchant side to get them to buy our product.
There's also a new mandate coming up. I think it's before the year 2020 that all payment terminals need to have a certain technology in them. So every single payment terminal is going to have to be replaced regardless. So we plan to take advantage of that and see that they might as well buy our terminal. It's just much better than every other one if they have to replace it anyway. So
are you guys also going to support like physical credit cards on it? If you're
Yes. There will be a credit card swiper on the side because the transition to mobile wallets won't be overnight. It'll take probably 10 years. Any other questions? Yeah.
One thing relatively simple is how do you get the initial? Because are you assuming that everyone will ubiquitously have a fingerprint scanner? That they
No,
train
because of course nobody has a fingerprint scanner.
other than to,
Right, yeah. But even on the new iPhone,
you can't really.
it's not open to developers, right?
So,
Yeah.
like you'd have to go to your local merchant who happens to have a Whirl.
You could, that is one way of signing up. You could also, and again, we can work through this, we need a fourth person. But there will be a way to sign up online, and basically you have to answer some incredibly unique security questions that you also answer at the terminal. And then that would help you through your first use, and after that you would have it. Yes?
How do you come up with the name Whirl?
So Whirl is actually a feature of the fingerprint, a Whirl. There's a few different features. Arch is another one, stuff. So we played off that. We thought it was a very simple, clean name that hasn't been taken by anything. So.
Where would you want your fourth person to be? Like, what if they were graduating or moving across the country?
Graduating in May?
No, but let's say in May.
I would say that's far enough out where it's not an issue. And if we do, and this is a big if we do find some funding, it's possible this fourth person could be our first full-time hire. But it's a long time between now and May, and if you are graduating then, I would say, why not take the risk, do some work with us, get paid, and work on something really good.
And me and the other person, the third guy we have, are also graduating in May. So.
Anybody else?